All right, with the sequel coming out, let's check out Nobody. Head on over to Rotten Tomatoes and you will find that the audience gave Nobody 94% and the critics gave it 84%. Chuck Bowen from Slant Magazine says, the film offers chaos by the yard with no real stakes or emotional reverberations. I mean, the way I see it, this guy is calling it like it is. This chaotic film with low stakes and no emotional reverberance is basically a Christmas Hallmark movie for men. I will rarely complain when an action movie doesn't make me cry. But if it does, that's just icing on the cake, huh? Kyle Pinion from Screen Rex says, it's just hard to escape the feeling that the filmmakers sat down with the premise. Wouldn't it be funny if the Better Call Saul guy was John Wick? Clearly, Kyle here is so utterly burdened by the sheer audacity of a film existing for the sole purpose of being simplistic and entertaining. Wouldn't it be funny if the Better Call Saul guy was John Wick? Yes, that is the premise. Congratulations, moron! You figured it out! It's also the premise that led to a wildly entertaining, action-packed, and surprisingly character-driven movie. What was this guy expecting? A Tolstoy adaptation? He goes on to say, and just never developed much of anything beyond that. Ah, the classic, I didn't get it, disguised as the classic intellectual superiority. They developed a compelling backstory, a thrilling series of action sequences, and a satisfying character arc to boot. These filmmakers are guilty of developing a film that people actually enjoy. Perhaps Kyle was expecting a thesis on the existential threat of suburban life, but you got a sledgehammer to the face instead. Yeah, that's right, that's what you deserve for not liking this movie. Oh, am I overreacting? I'm not. In short, your critique reveals more about your inability to enjoy a well-executed action flick than it does about the movie itself. Perhaps next time you can stick to a documentary about how boogers liquefy when you get a cold. That might be more up your ass. Eric Eisenberg from Cinema Blend says, what starts out as interesting develops into contrived and haphazard. I agree. It felt like the first act was more engaging. It eventually develops into something that cannot be distinguished from any other everyman action movie. But Bob Odenkirk is in it. The great Bob Odenkirk. May shame come upon me and my family if we ever dare to speak a harsh word against the great Mr. Odenkirk and his work. Mike Macy from Gone with the Twins says, it's difficult not to enjoy the mayhem, especially when it's directed toward generic villains. But its excessiveness borders on the same tedium of Hutch's 9-to-5 job. You know, reading this review reminded me of a 9-to-5 job. And you know what, Mike Macy? You should be fortunate and thankful that you have a 9-to-5 job. I don't. I've been unemployed for coming up on 3 years now. Here I am, just sitting in front of a phone, trying to become a YouTube star. Trying to become a 41 or 42-year-old influencer. That's what I want to put on my resume. It's my dream. It's been my dream since I was 3. I have always wanted to be a YouTube influencer. Yes, I spoke those words in the mid-1980s. And this is my chance. This is my chance to shine. Please, subscribe my video. Click the thumbs up and then do the likey like. That'd be so nice if you did that. Share this video like it's an STD and spread it all around your friend group. Will you please? Thank you. Ty Burr from Boston Globe says, Nobody ultimately turns out to be a simpler animal than that much-loved AMC series, and a lesser one. Everything is lesser than Better Call Saul, and every episode Bob Odenkirk is in Breaking Bad. Everything. Every clothing line, every charity, every book, movie, story, porno, everything is underneath the umbrella of the great Better Call Saul. Nothing can reach that bar. Nothing can and nothing will. Graham Tuckett from the Post NZ says, Nobody peaked at around the 30-minute mark. I don't mean to brag, but at last count, I could push pretty close to 36 minutes. There is a pretty tall hill at the back of our house, and on a good day, I can actually reach the summit. 36 minutes, not bad. Richard Brody from The New Yorker says, what makes this fantasy of cowboy-style self-defense so disturbing is that it isn't limited to the movies. It's the very same belief system that gets used in real life to justify the American obsession with gun ownership. You're either a movie critic or a wimpy politician. Choose a lane. That's like saying Super Babies, Baby Geniuses 2 is a movie in defense of abortion. Stephen A. Russell from Time Out says, this film is just angry and a deadening thud of pointless nihilism that actually seems to celebrate saving a marriage through mass murder. All right, let's not kid ourselves here. There is something to be said about moving mountains in order to save your marriage. I'm not saying we all need to go out and kill people, because in the real world, that is not a situation that is likely going to happen. But it is refreshing to see that oomph and zeal toward his marriage. You don't get that often anymore in movies. And yeah, that's refreshing to see. In fact, it's something that I think a lot of people can relate to. Even if you're not married, you've likely been in love before, you've been in a committed relationship. You know that feeling of doing anything you can to save whatever is left of that relationship. And no, I'm not saying we need to commit bloodshed in order to stay betrothed. I'm just saying it's a picture of an overall moral theme. We should go to the very ends of the earth for a significant other in order to save that relationship any way we can. Not enough people do that. And that's why I think movies like this can be really helpful. But I'm certain a lot of people who saw this movie who are going through a divorce or a nasty breakup thought, maybe he's onto something here. Am I just wussing out here? Or, if anything, it just caused people to really look into the situation they found themselves in relationally. I mean, we really can't look anywhere else today to find Hollywood defending the sanctity of marriage. So, I'll take it in this. Somebody from Scroll Staff says, John Wick has been there and done it better. I think we just need to scroll right past that. Even John Wick, as great as he is, he's still borrowed from other giants in the genre. And that's literally not a crime. Grant Watson from Fiction Machine says, in all honesty, the most creative part of Nobody is how Kolstad has effectively sold the same screenplay twice to two different movie studios. Excuse me, Disney has been doing that for decades. First, we had the same princess story over and over, and then it became about the singing and dancing animals over and over. And now, need I state the obvious? It's about the remakes, literally redoing everything they've done before. Wait, so why are we only calling out this movie, Grant? For recycling ideas. I mean, if you look here, Grant didn't complain at all about Lilo and Stitch. And I would say that's a little bit hypothetical. It's hypocritical. Matt Pius from mattpius.com, that's a little bit presumptuous, says, hardly an enlightened examination of modern manhood. It makes me wonder, has Matt ever seen an action movie? Does he recognize that the genre exists? Because most action movies are helmed by a male celebrity. You can think of 20 of them this very second. And nobody complained about those. Nobody ever complained about Bruce Willis saving his wife in Die Hard. Nobody ever complained about Keanu Reeves trying to stop the bus in Speed. But now all of a sudden we're in this new age of thinking where everything we see that's good in life, we have to criticize it and take it down. And then we have to assign it a gender and just say that entire gender or species or whatever it is completely in the wrong. Because the type of fun they're having is not up to my standard or expectation. Do I have respect for Matt Pius? Not at all. I have no respect for this guy, and I only know him from this one sentence. How's that for toxicity? So the most honest review for Nobody goes to Austin Burke from Austin Burke /FlickFanNation. He gives Nobody a fresh score and says, Nobody is an action-packed blast, and it proves that Bob Odenkirk can do anything. Damn right he can. And if you haven't watched Better Call Saul, you do need to get on that. And if you have, and you need more of it, there is actually a podcast, an official Better Call Saul podcast that I have listened to all the way through, and I want to share it with you. The link is in the description below. Thanks for hanging out with me. Subscribe to get the next video. Until then, I will see you next time, Roasters.